The list of names attached to this situation is intense, and at the center of it stands none other than Big Meech himself, the original BMF boss and the architect behind one of the most notorious street empires ever built from the ground up.
50 had your key. Do you know what your one key? Me and you got the same key to any embarrassment. Whether it's factual or not, what is it? What's your key?
Being exposed?
Lena.
But right now, Meech is heated. Word on the street is that he's caught wind of Rick Ross cozying up a little too close to 50 Cent. And if you know the history between these three, then you already know that's a dangerous line to cross. What started as admiration and respect, with Ross once proudly declaring, "I think I'm Big Meech," has now turned into something that Meech sees as outright betrayal. And when Meech speaks, the whole game stops to listen. Let's roll the clock back for a second and trace how we got here. Rick Ross built a massive part of his early reputation by borrowing heavily from the BMF image, the flashy cars, the endless money, the luxury lifestyle, and that unstoppable boss energy. His hit record BMF didn't just make waves, it had the streets on absolute fire. It was meant as a tribute, a salute to Meech and the movement he created, and back then, Meech respected it. He saw Ross's words and music as love, as a way to keep the BMF legacy alive while he was behind bars.
Problem with some rappers, some rappers think they war ready and they beef ready till they step into the beef, and then they get somebody coming at them crazy. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what it's like to have beef with 50 Cent? 50 Cent is incredible with the beef, not just musically. With every day he was going viral. Yo, your mother, your wife. I'm like, oh my God, this guy here. Like, don't get beef with 50 Cent.
Ross continued to shout out BMF in interviews, fully embracing the lifestyle and living the boss talk that Meech embodied. Meech once famously said, "I never folded, never told, never will, death before dishonor." That's because BMF's people have always prided themselves on loyalty. From day one, that name has carried serious weight. But when 50 Cent came into the picture and built an entire TV universe around the BMF name, the story, the legacy, the image, the whole situation took on a new energy. What once felt like homage suddenly became a high-stakes power move, and for Meech, that shifted the entire dynamic in ways no one saw coming.
50 Cent was stacking serious money off the BMF brand, even though Meech's circle felt they weren't getting the respect they deserved. And when it came to Rick Ross, he was supposed to be family. That's what really sent Meech over the edge. According to those close to the situation, when Meech heard Ross publicly praise 50's BMF series, calling it genius and saying 50 did his thing, that's when everything shifted. For Meech, that wasn't support, that was switching sides.
Put your back against the wall and just slide down. You already know, car show going down June 7th. Get online right now, get your tickets right now. But for the hustlers, I want y'all to understand, you gotta stop making business personal.
Because in his world, loyalty isn't something you bend. You're either riding with the family or you're riding with the opposition. There's no in between. Ross has been saying for years that he made the BMF song out of love and respect for what Meech represented. The hustle, the vision, the rise from nothing to everything. But in Meech's eyes, that message doesn't hit the same anymore. Not after watching Ross align himself with someone he's considered an enemy for over a decade. And it's not like the beef between 50 and Ross is ancient history. These two have been trading shots for years. From savage diss tracks to messy lawsuits and even public drama involving family members. That history runs deep and everyone in the game knows it. So for Meech, someone who's known Ross since way back, seeing him cozy up to 50 at this point doesn't look like friendship. It looks like a strategic chess move, one designed to secure influence and visibility. And in Meech's book, that's not loyalty. That's betrayal dressed up as business. And betrayal, no matter how it's packaged, always comes with consequences in the streets.
Exactly. And it didn't stop there. Soon the streets started buzzing with talk that Rick Ross was only using the BMF name to keep himself relevant. The word was that Ross had chosen the money side over the loyalty side, and in a world where loyalty is everything, that kind of reputation sticks. Those whispers don't fade away easily. And when they eventually made their way back to Meech, he didn't take them lightly. According to someone close to the situation, Meech felt flat out played. He allegedly said that Ross talked like family but then turned around and congratulated a man who's profiting off his name without ever asking for permission. That's not small talk. That's heavy language coming from someone who built his entire legacy on codes, principles, and loyalty. And for Meech, this isn't just about ego or pride, it's about legacy.
What up, though, boss of all bosses? And today I'm coming to tell all my supporters, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever you got, you trying to make it go up, hit me right now.
I never folded, never told, never will. Death before the...
Behind closed doors, Meech reportedly made it clear, this isn't a petty disagreement. It's about protecting something he built with his blood, sweat, and reputation. While Ross is out here living large, dropping "I Think I'm Big Meech" in songs, and building his own brand off the BMF story, the real Big Meech is still fighting for his name and legacy from the shadows. He doesn't have the luxury of hopping online to clap back every time someone profits off his life story. So when he sees Ross openly aligning himself with the very man cashing in on that legacy, it's no surprise he feels deeply disrespected. Because in Meech's world, the name BMF isn't just branding, it's history, sacrifice, and loyalty. And when outsiders play with that, the reaction will never be light. But to keep it balanced, Ross's camp has been trying to calm the noise. They've repeatedly said this isn't about picking sides, it's about hip-hop, about storytelling, and about giving flowers to the legends who shaped the culture. And maybe on the surface that's true, but in the street world, context is everything. Who you align yourself with matters, who you celebrate matters, and you can't pop bottles with someone your brother sees as an enemy and expect things to remain peaceful. That's just not how loyalty works in that arena. Now, the situation's become complicated. Big Meech feels betrayed. Ross insists his intentions are innocent. And 50? He's sitting comfortably on the sidelines watching everything spiral, probably grinning as it all unfolds. That's the type of power he's always had. He doesn't just play the game, he controls the entire board. He's mastered the art of shaping the narrative and forcing others to move to his rhythm. And whether Ross meant to or not, he's now dancing to 50's beat. It's like stepping into an orchestra where 50 is the conductor, and Ross just joined the band. And the deeper he gets involved, the harder it becomes to claim neutrality. Because once you're standing next to someone like 50, every move is interpreted as a choice, whether you intended it that way or not. 50's made it clear in interviews too. He's not here to justify anything. He said, "Meech respects what I built. We're telling his story the right way." And sure, Meech respects the business hustle. He knows the value of turning a legacy into a global franchise. But that doesn't mean he co-signs every move, every alliance, or every partnership. And in a culture where respect is currency, those unspoken details matter just as much as the deals themselves.
I got a text from some very credible dudes who said they pressed 50 to take down all the Big Meech posts, right? Once again, I got the text, I read it out loud, I was on...
Sure, Meech might acknowledge the hustle, but that doesn't mean he's fine with how this whole situation is playing out. When you're a legend like him, your story isn't just entertainment, it's your life. Every scene filmed, every lyric written, every dollar earned off that name carries weight beyond the surface. And when people start cashing in on that legacy without showing proper respect or even checking in, it feels like they're using his reflection to build their own castles. Meech has been in the game long enough to know exactly how the industry operates. He's seen how people change when cameras start rolling, when contracts hit the table, and when clout becomes the main currency. So when he sees Ross and 50 suddenly moving like close allies, snapping photos, talking business, and publicly co-signing each other, he feels the sting. The loyalty he once believed was solid now looks negotiable, and that cuts deeper than any diss track could. And that's the real wound here. Ross isn't just another rapper off the block. This is the same man who once called himself Big Meech, the same artist who built an entire boss persona off the BMF image. So watching him turn around and salute 50, the man who transformed Meech's real-life story into a money-making TV franchise, hits like betrayal wrapped up in applause. Meech isn't trying to start a war, but he's sending a message loud and clear. Respect the name, respect the foundation, and don't blur the line between admiration and exploitation. In the streets, that invisible line means everything. Once you cross it, there's no going back. And the respect you lose on that side of the line, you don't get it back. Here's the thing most people miss. Meech isn't out here hating on anyone's success. That's never been his energy. He built an entire empire by watching others win while still carving out his own lane. But when someone takes your name, your legacy, and starts stacking millions off it, there's a certain way that needs to be handled. You can't halfway salute the man who laid the blueprint and then turn around and shake hands with his rival. That's like breaking one of the oldest rules in the streets. And everyone who's been around that life knows there are some lines you just don't cross. Let's keep it real. 50 Cent plays chess, not checkers. Every move he makes is part of a bigger strategy. He knows how to stir the pot, how to get people talking, and most importantly, how to control the narrative. So when Ross started publicly showing love to 50's BMF show, 50 didn't just see it as a friendly gesture. He saw leverage.
Big Meech's giant welcome home concert
I told you it was
canceled.
What'd I tell you?
The bill was
What did
insane.
I say?
The list of artists on it was.
He saw an opportunity to flip the situation, to make Ross look like he was bending the knee, and 50 thrives off that kind of power dynamic. It's fuel for the machine he's been running for decades. Meanwhile, Meech is watching all of this unfold from behind the scenes. From behind those prison walls, through secondhand conversations, through messages from people on the outside. Imagine that, sitting in a cell while the world debates your name like it's a brand, not a life story. Watching people you once called friends cozy up to the very man who turned your movement into primetime television. It's not just frustrating, it's insulting, it's a slap in the face, wrapped in business suits and social media captions. And Ross, he's out here trying to play neutral, smiling, laughing, posting motivational quotes, acting like everything's love. But anyone who spent real time around this industry knows that silence speaks louder than any interview. You can say no beef all day long, but once you align yourself with someone your brother doesn't rock with, the message is loud and clear. In this world, loyalty isn't about what you say, it's about who you stand next to, and right now that silence is screaming betrayal.
That silence from Ross? To Meech, it sounds a whole lot like betrayal. He comes from an era where every handshake meant something and every single word carried real weight. When he talks about loyalty, it's not a buzzword or a catchy slogan, it's a bond, a contract sealed in blood and built on trust. So when he hears Ross shouting out 50's projects or talking about the business side of things, it doesn't sound like explanation, it sounds like excuses dressed up as strategy, and the fans? They picked up on it instantly. Social media lit up with comments calling Ross out, saying he forgot who he was really shouting out, that Meech built that boss energy from the ground up and now Ross is out here trying to sell it to 50. The internet misses nothing, and even though Meech can't jump online to respond himself, his message still spreads quickly through the people around him. They're making it clear, Meech is not feeling the vibe. What's wild is that the streets have been waiting for a clash like this, two powerful eras colliding without a single punch thrown. Meech represents that old school discipline, the original code of the blacktop where loyalty meant everything and betrayal had real consequences.
Dude, quit playing with dude. You know, I'm gonna say that much. Over and out, I catch y'all what I catch y'all is but.
Ross represents the new school boss life, champagne celebrations, luxury cars, and million-dollar talk. And then there's 50. The ultimate puppet master, a businessman who figured out how to flip raw street credibility into Hollywood gold. So when all three of their worlds collide, it's more than just a disagreement. It's history meeting strategy. Ross probably thought he was playing it smart, keeping things peaceful on both sides. But in this kind of game, there's no such thing as neutrality. You either stand with the name that helped build your brand, or you stand with the network that's cashing in on it. And once that choice is made, there's no pretending it's just business anymore. It becomes a statement that the streets won't forget.
You can't walk that tightrope without losing respect from one side. And right now, the side Rick Ross is losing credibility with just so happens to be the one that gave him his boss identity to begin with. And here's the wild part. The irony in all of this is impossible to ignore. Ross has been preaching loyalty his entire career, self-made, Maybach music boss. Every part of that brand, every word tied to strength, family, and code. It all traces back to the original BMF spirit, that belief in loyalty over money, family over fame, and respect over everything. But when it came time to live those values for real, the actions didn't line up with the message. The motto sounded good in interviews, but the moves told a different story. According to those close to Meech, they're not asking Ross for money, shoutouts, or favors. All they've ever wanted is for him to stand on the same principles he built his name on. That's real talk. No PR spin, no drama, just a demand for consistency. They don't even want an apology. All they're looking for is acknowledgement. A simple statement like, I've got love for Meech and the family, and I'll never disrespect that bond. That's all it would take to show the loyalty still exists. But instead, Ross seems too focused on protecting his image and staying politically safe to clear the air.
I can't believe a stand-up dude doing his time would suddenly say, I don't want to be here no more. I'm gonna become a rat.
And here's a thought that keeps coming up in street conversations. Imagine if Meech were a free man right now. Does anyone really believe Ross would be moving the same way? Most people say absolutely not. The energy would shift fast, and Meech would demand that conversation face to face. No cryptic posts, no subliminal shots, just two men talking directly. Because in the real world, where codes still mean something, real men don't dance around conflict, they confront it head on. Right now, the tension around this situation is bigger than just music. It's a full-blown culture moment. The streets are watching every move, every interview, every post, and trying to figure out if loyalty still means anything in the game today. Because when someone like Big Meech, a name built on real codes and real sacrifice, starts questioning the actions of someone like Rick Ross, it sends shockwaves far beyond hip-hop. This isn't just a personal disagreement, it's a test of principles, and the outcome could reshape how respect is earned in this new era. Ross is at a crossroads whether he realizes it or not. On one side, he's got a legacy that's tied to BMF, a legacy that helped elevate his image from just another rapper to a larger-than-life boss figure. On the other side, he's now aligned, intentionally or not, with one of BMF's biggest rivals in the entertainment space. And in street politics, those two realities don't exist peacefully side by side. Something's gotta give. And the truth is, this moment is about more than just Rick Ross. It's about every artist, influencer, and executive who's built their brand off street culture while forgetting to honor the people who laid the foundation. It's a reminder that credibility isn't about album sales or social media followers. It's about respect, and once that's gone, money can't buy it back. People in Meech's circle are already saying that conversations are happening behind closed doors, not the type that get live streamed or posted online, but real talks about legacy, ownership, and reputation. The streets are whispering that if things don't get addressed soon, the silence might not stay silent for long. And if that happens, the narrative could shift in ways Ross isn't ready for, because once that respect is lost, it's almost impossible to earn back. And once the streets decide that a move was disrespectful, no PR campaign, no business deal, and no apology can fully undo the damage. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a TV show or a rap lyric, it's about something much deeper, the unspoken rules that built the culture. Right now, Ross still has a chance to make things right. But every day he waits, every post he ignores, and every interview he dodges only makes the situation more explosive. And if there's one thing the streets always prove, silence speaks louder than words. And once that silence turns to noise, the whole industry will be forced to listen. But here's where many people get it twisted. Just because Meech is behind the wall doesn't mean he's powerless. Far from it. In fact, his absence has people feeling a little too bold, stretching the truth, spinning narratives, and assuming he's too far removed to check them. That's where they're wrong. Meech might be locked up, but his presence still moves the streets like a force of nature. His name still echoes through Atlanta, Detroit, Miami, every city where the BMF flag ever waved. And when he says he's disappointed, that word travels fast. The industry hears it loud and clear, even if they pretend they don't. And deep down, Ross knows that. That's why he's been so quiet. Because if he truly believed he hadn't done anything wrong, he'd speak up and clear his name just like he's done in the past. But this time, there's silence. And that silence speaks volumes. It's the sound of someone hoping the story fades away on its own. But here's the truth. When it comes to BMF, stories don't fade. They linger, they grow, they evolve, and they always circle back. Right now, the situation stands at a crossroads. Meech isn't looking to start a war, but his message couldn't be clearer. If you scream BMF, you better mean it. And as for Ross, he's got a choice to make. He can either double down, act like it's all love, and keep things surface level, or he can reach out, have a real conversation, and try to repair what's been broken. But loyalty, once it cracks, it never looks the same again. You can patch it up, you can paint over it, but the damage remains. And in the world Meech comes from, cracks in loyalty don't stay small. They can turn into earthquakes that shift entire alliances. So where does this story go from here? Maybe Ross keeps calling it just music, maybe 50 keeps building his TV empire, and maybe Meech keeps reminding the world that his story isn't a script. It's a legacy carved into the fabric of hip-hop culture. And the wildest part, even with all the noise, the debates, and the tension, the streets are still chanting one thing: free Big Meech. That's respect. The kind that money can't buy, influence can't fake, and time can't erase. Ross might have borrowed the image of a boss, but Meech, he's the original blueprint, always was, always will be. And now we want to hear from you. Where do you think this story heads next? Should Ross make peace with Meech, or is the damage too deep to fix? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this unfolding saga. Trust, there's more coming.